Hello, friends. Do you recall our story from last week? Let me help you remember. Balaam's donkey, part 2. We started with a prophet named Balaam, who was asked by the king of Moab to curse the Israelites. When Balaam finally agreed to go to the king, he had a plan to say what God wanted him to say and what the king wanted him to say. Well, God saw right through that plan, though, and he placed an angel in Balaam's path to stop him. Balaam couldn't see the angel, but his donkey could. Balaam kept getting mad at his donkey for stopping, until the donkey actually talked to Balaam. Yes, you heard me correctly. The donkey talked. After that, Balaam headed straight for Moab with plans to do only what God wanted him to do. That's where we pick up the story today. When the king of Moab saw Balaam in the distance, he rushed out to meet him. "I am here now," said Balaam, "but I can only say what God tells me to say." The king wrung his hands. "Come quickly and curse the Israelites for me," he said. But God had another plan in mind. The next morning, King Balak led Balaam to a high place where the people of Moab worshipped false gods. From the top of the hill, Balaam could see the 12 tribes of Israel camped below. He said to the king, "Build me 7 altars." When the sacrifice was over, Balaam said to the king, "Stand by your burnt offering while I see if God will show me what to do." The king clapped his hands together. "Soon the Israelites will be gone," he said gleefully. Not so far away, Balaam knelt down and spoke to God. "I have built 7 altars. Do you have a message for the king?" God answered, saying, "Yes, go and speak the words that I tell you to say." Balaam rose to his feet. He walked over to the king who was standing by his burned sacrifice. Stretching out his arms, he said, "God says, I cannot curse what I have blessed. The people of Israel are blessed more than other nations." King Balak's mouth dropped open. This was not the message he wanted to hear. "What are you saying?" he cried. He stamped his feet and pointed angrily at Balaam. "I brought you here to curse my enemies, and now you've blessed them." "Listen," said Balaam, "there is nothing I can do. I told you I could only say what God wanted me to say." The king frowned and scratched his beard. He wasn't ready to give up. The king made Balaam check with God again and again. Finally, he went back to the king and told him excitedly what God had said. "I am not like men. I do not change my mind. I will not change my blessing on the people of Israel. If I promise something, I will do it. I brought the Israelites out of Egypt and made them strong. I will not curse them." "What?" King Balak was mad as a firecracker. "I told you to curse the Israelites, but you've blessed them 3 times. I was going to give you great riches, but God has stopped you from getting the reward. Now go home." And that is the story of Balaam and his donkey. A talking donkey! I'd like to see that. Here are some lessons from today's story. Number 1, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and he promises to bless his children who obey his instructions. That is what we need to do today. Try to think of some things that you could do to obey God's instructions. And number 2, God always keeps his promises, no matter what. That is something we can count on. When he says that he will do something, he does it. That is something we can always believe in. Here is our memory verse for the week. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. Hebrews 10:23.